Hello everyone, welcome to This Week in Stupid for the 11th of July 2020. If you used to like the old host of This Week in Stupid, Sargon of Akkad, I would like to inform you that we are playing a very mature and progressive game called Dungeons and Dragons. I am the game master, and I'm also playing with Arch Warhammer, Short Fat Otaku, other YouTubers. It's a really interesting campaign about a medieval city that is surrounded by a mist. Everyone that goes into the mist never comes back. The only thing keeping the mist at bay is a church ringing the bell. So now it causes like this big theocracy going on. So if you like all that stuff, and if you want to visualize that stuff, then a ex-Blizzard developer is drawing art for our Dungeons and Dragons things, and you can find it every Wednesday on my live stream channel. If you haven't subscribed to it, please do. And with that said, let's get right into the news. Speaking of religion, you might remember last week that we talked about a shipment of human hair which came from China, and the US Customs and Borders decided to halt the shipment because they believe that the beauty products originate from Chinese prisoners. You gotta admire communists by making sure that nothing goes to waste. But this seems to have upset the sensibilities of one Majid Nawaz, a British influencer. And the last thing that I expected in 2020 was to see moderate British influencer Majid Nawaz declare jihad on the Communist Party of China. He says that he is declaring ideological war, jihad, on the Chinese Communist Party for his Muslim, Tibetan, and Christian brethren in China. And he will not give up. They have lit a fire in me that I have not felt since I was a teenager. Hashtag solidarity. Well, Majid Nawaz, I think we need to play the clip. I think this calls for the clip. Like when one person declares jihad, we need to play the clip.
Through the holy word of the Prophet, blessed be his name, have the people of Islam been taught to embrace peace and mercy. There are some sins that the infidels commit, however, that cannot be forgiven, and warrant no mercy. Islam can no longer stand idly by and allow further desecration to all that is sacred. Now is the time to wage holy war, jihad, upon the blasphemous infidels, with such fervor that they shall not blaspheme in such a manner ever again.
Oh my, I am pumped. I am so pumped. Especially for the first time in history, you can say that Christians and Muslims can cheer for the same cause. As you can see here, it's also the Christian brethren of Majid Nawaz. So you know what? I think we need to talk with the Pope so he can play the clip. Do you think the Pope will play the clip? Let's get the Pope to play the clip.
The Holy Bible may preach peace, but when it is Christendom itself that is threatened, then it is every Christian's duty to defend all that is holy. His Holiness the Pope has called a crusade to reclaim the Holy Lands from the infidel, who would deny Christian pilgrims their right to visit the holy places. It is time for the armies of Christendom to put aside their differences and unite under one banner, the sign of the cross, and give back God's children what is rightfully theirs, or die trying.
Inshallah, Deus vult, you communist bastards! Majid Nawaz is coming for you, ideologically. And what is China's response to this? Well, did you know that they may be using the sea in order to hide its submarines? This is from a big brain journalist take. I mean, who would even think to look for Chinese submarines under the sea? No one would think that, so that's where they're hiding them. Oh, Majid Nawaz, you're against some some big brainers here. I don't know if you're going to do it. You know, this is why I think we need to help Majid Nawaz in his ideological conquest. But anyway, all jokes aside, do you know what happened last week? Do you know what was last week? It was 4th of July, motherfucker. Did you celebrate it? You didn't celebrate 4th of July. You're a filthy communist. Was that? You're from Europe? Well, that's even worse. See, I narrowed it down. So, because it was 4th of July in California, the enlightened politicians were very concerned. They were very concerned about the transmission of the virus. Now, you can't be concerned all the time, like when you have massive protests and people gathering together. I understand that the virus is pretty woke and is not infecting protesters. But when it's about celebrating 4th of July, well, I mean, you celebrated it last year, you can celebrate it next year. Like, do you really need fireworks? So they decided to make it illegal to throw fireworks during this 4th of July. Because again, massive number of people gathering together, it's fine. But sitting in your own house and throwing some fireworks from your backyard, that can get you infected. That can get grandma killed, okay? So they decided to ban it. Now, let's see how the people of California now decided to comply with their politicians' wishes.
About 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, and there are massive fireworks going off pretty much in every direction that you see here. Jasmine, our local fire departments and police departments have been begging people not to do this, but it seems tonight they are not listening to those calls.
Well, and they're putting up new warnings on social media. I mean, they're saying safe and sane are even banned in the majority of cities in LA County, not to mention the city of LA has a ban as well. We know many of the public shows have been canceled, so we've done stories on this. More people have been, unfortunately, setting off illegal fireworks. I mean, it is quite the sight, but this is not supposed to be happening. I mean, you could be fined up to $50,000.
Absolutely horrible. Did you see how many far-right fireworks were there? God damn it, celebrating a symbol of hate. I just don't understand it. Why can you just not take a break 1 year? Why is it so hard? Like, you celebrated it last year, you're going to celebrate it next. Can't you just not celebrate it this year? I don't understand Americans, to be honest. I just don't understand Californians. I do not get them. But anyway, a lot of people that follow me are from Brazil. Did you know that? Like, I have people from Brazil following me. And they're asking me, it's like, V, why do you never cover our news? And it's like, well, I don't speak Brazilian. Well, I don't even know what language Brazilians speak. I'm sorry, like, it's out of place of ignorance, I guess, but like, I'm from Eastern Europe. There are just so many countries that I can follow at once. You know, I'm already following most of Europe. I'm following the United States. I'm following Australia. I'm following Canada. How many countries do you think I can follow at once? I'm just one man. You understand? I'm just one guy. But you know what? I did an effort. And I managed to find something from the Brazilian president, which has been diagnosed with the virus. He came out positive. And despite being positive, according to The Guardian, he uses a homophobic slur to mock, not the masks, you idiot from The Guardian that cannot do journalism, the people wearing them. He mocked the people wearing them. Hire me, Guardian, hire me. I will do better journalism than this. Like, I swear to God, like, I will make some propaganda. It's going to convert even the Pope to Marxism. Like, if you hire me, The Guardian, I will write you such propaganda that even the most staunch right-winger is going to go like, okay, I shall step on the snake and I shall wave the flag of oppression. You know, like, I will do that. I will do that, but hire me. Talk to me, call me. Just give me an offer. In the meantime, we see this gentleman, Sam, saying despite literally testing positive, Bolsonaro still says masks are... Uh-oh. Now, Sam, look, I don't know you guy, okay? Please don't contact him. Like, I generally don't know. I mean, it's just something that popped up on my feed. Now, I have seen people using different methods to come out of the closet. You know, I definitely have heard from friends of mine that used to be furries about different ways of telling their family, you know, when they came out of the closet. But like, Sam, you're wearing... I'm just pointing it out there, buddy. I'm just pointing it out there. You know, like, your criticism on this, let's put it this way, is not that he is incorrect. You just don't like the way he framed it. But you don't seem to disagree with the man, which leads me to assume that this is like the most interesting coming out of the closet that I have ever seen in my life. I understand outing gay people is not okay, but it seems that Bolsonaro gets people to out themselves. Like, there's this mystical aura around him where people just can't help but out themselves, come out of the closet when he's around. I'm going to get in trouble for this, right? Like, you're not allowed to make the funny. You're not allowed to make humor about it, even though it's not harmful or anything. Like, I'm not saying anything bad. But just by saying, like, you're not supposed to talk about it, right? Like, let me tell you how sensitive these issues are, in case you don't understand. 2020, current year, right? So in Vancouver, see, I follow the world. I know news from all over the place. So in Vancouver, some people decided, as a sentiment for the LGBT-ness, I guess, to make a rainbow flag on the sidewalk. Beautiful, isn't it? A beautiful sentiment. A beautiful sentiment. But turns out some asshole, some bringer of the Fourth Reich, has driven a car on the sidewalk and has defaced the sanctity, the sacredness of the symbol. And Jesus Christ. I wish I was making it up, like, again, look, you don't understand, like, you need to, this, alright, is news, like, it happened somewhere in the world, like, this is a real thing, okay, it involves actual adults, people that are over 18, and multi-billion-dollar corporations, aka the mainstream media industrial complex, that are wasting their paper to report on this. But not only that, there are cops now, okay? There are police officers which are investigating this. Like, there are resources taken away from some actual crimes in order to look at skid marks on the sidewalk. I mean, look, I'm not an expert when it comes to tackling hate crime. Far from me from claiming something so grandiose, but isn't the sidewalk a place where cars usually drive? Like, isn't this a place where cars find themselves? And what happens when you move a tire over colorful chalk? Hate speech, that's what happens. It's a hate crime. God damn it. I want this interaction between the police and the car driver to be recorded. I want to see, like, I want to be a fly on the wall when this conversation is taking place. It's like, why did you drive your car there? It's like, and by the way, like, I have said it plenty of times. It's like, if Donald Trump suggests that burning the American flag should be illegal, a lot of people freak out. But it's also the same people that are freaking out over this news. It's ridiculous. I mean, the only thing that would make it more ridiculous if it's one of these two gentlemen that have done it. Like, apparently, a man was driving a stolen car and he crashes into a woman driving another stolen car. Isn't this just utterly beautiful? Like, if this is not love at first sight, I don't know what it is. Like, if these people do not get married after they get out of prison, it's a crime against humanity. Like, these two individuals seem to be made one for each other. Yeah. But anyway, let's go back to some depressing news. You know what I forgot today? I forgot to talk about cancellations. Yes, cancel culture. Every single week, more and more people lose their job. Today is this awful woman. If you would see her on the street, you would be afraid because she has opinions that she shares on the Twitter. And her opinion is that she is standing with J.K. Rowling. Horrible, and because of this, she got fired. Now, believe it or not, there has been a letter signed by a lot, and I mean a lot, of far leftists advocating for the end of cancel culture, because they believe it wouldn't be a good place to live where a person is expected for his entire life not to say a single thing that's offensive. And as you can see, even if you particularly don't say anything offensive, it's still bad if one of your relatives says it. And these people are considering that maybe this is not the correct way to live in a free society. You know, like, maybe it's not okay. So this would warrant its own video, because, man, like, this has opened a box of rules on the internet that you can't imagine. So, first off, the response to this letter was that a lot of people claim there is no such thing as cancel culture. Like, even though on the internet you see it constantly, it's like, this person has been offensive, we need to get them canceled. Like, that's even the expression that they're using. But the other part of the people are like, oh, it's not cancel cultures, it's consequence culture. Because I suppose the consequence for doing the clickety-clack on your keyboard is to have your entire livelihood ruined. It seems fair and balanced, right? I mean, words are violence, and actual violence is protesting. You know, like, we're living in a very interesting time period. But that's not the funny thing. It's not the response to this letter that's funny. What is funny is that when the people try to cancel the ones signing the letter, because yes, that's a thing. So you have people like saying, can we please stop cancel culture? And the response is, there is no cancel culture, now we're going to try to get you fired for the opinions you had. You have a lot of individuals trying to distance themselves from the letter and saying, oh, I didn't know such and such also signed the letter. In other words, what they're saying is that they agree with the principle and they're perfectly fine with signing the letter based on what it says. But when they find out that they are on the same page with someone like J.K. Rowling, they're like, whoa. I cannot in good faith agree with something that, even though I actually agree with, as long as a transphobe like J.K. Rowling also agrees. So this just shows me that the way leftists function is that they don't have a moral compass. Like, they look at what other people do, like someone like J.K. Rowling, and they do literally the opposite. And then there was like this lady that, my God, like, this was the most funny thing that I have ever read. So this needs to have an entire video on its own, because there was this lady working at a newspaper, and she signs it, and another co-worker of her who also works at the newspaper signs it as well. So they both sign it. And then the lady, when she noticed, oh, J.K. Rowling also signed this, and she said that now she feels afraid to go to her workplace because of her colleague that signed the same letter that she did, considering that a transphobe like J.K. Rowling also signed. I cannot make this up. I cannot make this up. Like, this is happening. This is reality. We are experiencing it. Alright? Like, no, imagine you and a friend of yours, you go and you sign the same thing and you work together. And then your friend claims that even though he signed the same thing you did, he is afraid to go to work because you signed the same thing that he did. I'm just, okay. You know what? I need to watch a funny clip now. I need to watch a funny clip in order to regain some sanity points. Now, in order to live under a more fair and just society, of course, statues need to come down. All the statues except for Karl Marx, obviously, so that would include people like John Locke and Elizabeth I. Yeah, no, those are the problematic people. Like, one of the founders of liberal ideology, a person that inspired the United States Constitution. Yeah, he's obviously a problem. I mean, why hide behind the finger and pretend we don't see it? No, he needs to calm down, of course. Oh, and speaking of communism, Elon Musk, which, by the way, maybe a lot of you don't know, but he actually sold every single house that he owns. Like, he literally sold all of his properties and wants to live in a small apartment on rent. Because he went on the Joe Rogan podcast and he said money doesn't bring happiness. So he actually wants to live a simple life. And I was like, you know what? I kind of respect that. Yeah. But when I lost respect for him is when he started disagreeing with the only true and correct ideology by posting this very interesting meme. 7 things every child needs to hear. Number 1, I love you. Number 2, I'm proud of you. Number 3, I am sorry. Number 4, I forgive you. Number 5, I am listening. Number 6, communism has failed every time it was tried. And number 7, you've got what it takes. Now, he even pushed on this and said that communism is a mind virus for fools. Now again, this would require 4 or 5 videos in order to show you the responses that Elon Musk got from people with a hammer and sickle in their bio, or with the pronouns in their bio, or with a black flag. But suffice to say, they weren't happy about it. They weren't happy at all. But what really got them upset is when Elon Musk decided to endorse presidential candidate Kanye West. And yes, he is now going to run for the position of United States president. And of course, a lot of people on Twitter with hammer and sickles and pronouns in the bio were livid about this, because they consider that he is taking away from the white man, Joe Biden. Now, I'm not an American, so all I know is what the American media likes to say about the United States, and they keep saying that's a racist country. And given what I've seen on Twitter, I have to agree. Like, an army of white people with pronouns in the bio and the hammer and sickle just wanted to keep a black man down. Just wanted to prevent Kanye West from achieving his dream in becoming the president of the United States. Now, I did listen a little bit to Kanye, and it seems he is already against women healthcare, let's put it like this, and he is for religion, and he is also against mandatory vaccinations, and it does seem that a lot of white people are very, very upset about his politics. So it's going to be interesting to see how his campaign unfolds, because so far, every time he posts something, I get a lot of laughs by looking at the liberal tears in his comment section. Now, speaking about black people, did you know that according to the website stopantisemitism.org, a website that I fully endorse, it says that in DC, Black Lives Matter protesters called Israel the puppet master of continents. And it is surprising to see how many companies that have endorsed Black Lives Matter in the past are now backpedaling with the speed of light, saying, no. Like, what we really meant, is that we just support the sentiment, not the organization. You know, there have been people fired for less, right? But no, I think we need to hold these companies to account. I mean, what is with this flip-flopping? What is it with this pandering? It's like, either you support it properly or you don't. So if you said you support it, like, if you like it, you put a ring at it, right? Like, for better or for worse. Because, for example, I would definitely put a ring on it. Like, I would put a ring on my Canadian waifu. She is one of the founding members of Black Lives Matter. And some tweets of her have resurfaced where she says that white people are subhuman and recessive genetic defects. I mean, I want to move to Canada now. I want to find this lady and seduce her. I want to use courtmanship tactics in order to seduce her. And then when we're together, when we live in the... Shut up, girlfriend. It's not about you, okay? Just chill. I would have to dump my current girlfriend. But after I do that, I would seduce this lady. And I would get her in the bedroom and I would be like, tell me more about white people. Oh, tell me, am I a subhuman? Am I a genetic defect? Oh, like, honestly, she could fix my genetic makeup. I would be like, come on, give me children that do not have the defect. Oh. See? Love, not hate. Make love, not war. Hit the bed and not the floor. This is how we bring unity. This is how we heal the racial divide. And if you oppose this, you're a bigot and a racist. Like, seriously, who opposes inter-race marriage? Only a bigot. No, but seriously, if I get my Canadian waifu, I would buy her the most beautiful, loving looking house. And on top of our bedroom, it would be like no whites allowed. Just so I can feel. So I can feel that guilt. So I can feel that inferiority. It would be like also commemorating the date that California decided to remove this from the Constitution, which says the state shall not discriminate against or grant preferential treatment to any individual or group on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin. So look how many people voted for removing this. Isn't this progressive? Isn't this progressive? Now that is progressive. That is so progressive. California is going to start sending spaceships anytime to Alpha Centauri now. That is how progressive and forward-thinking they are. Removing anti-discrimination from the Canadian Constitution. That is just wow. That is what I have no words how progressive this is. Man, I'm so glad I live in an age where I genuinely think racism is going to be over any day now. I mean, all the corporations, all the politicians, everyone is fighting to end it. Like, how long can racism last under this insurmountable pressure? I mean, look, even on Reddit, on a subforum called Justice Served, we can no longer allow any content that shows people of color as the aggressors. Due to the new Reddit updates to its policies and rules, as well as administrator conversations with users, we can no longer allow any posts, comments, or other content that shows a person of color as the aggressor. This is considered now hate speech or harassment towards an important minority group and is no longer allowed. This absolutely means any videos as well as news, reposts, photos, personal stories, data, statistics, police reports, or any other form of media. In other words, reality happens, okay? But reality sometimes is hateful. Like statistics, ew, reports, horrible. You know, everything like that is hateful. So we need to just not report on it. Like if you don't post it and people don't know about it, it doesn't exist, right? So that is the solution, according to Reddit, to fight against racism. Like, take that, racists. How are you going to formulate arguments now, huh? You can't, because if you don't post it, it's not real. Like, only things that are posted on Reddit are the things that are happening, and they're real. Reality is fantasy land nowadays. And honestly, I think Reddit should teach Kansas State University a thing or two. Because look, black students are scared. Why are black students scared? They saw a racist tweet. As such, I suggest that Kansas State University bans Twitter for its students. Because if they can't see it, they can't be scared. Right? Like if you don't see it, it doesn't exist. There we go. See how I fixed the problem. Do you not understand that you need an Eastern European to fix your problems for you? Just hire me and I guarantee you, all the problems are going to be gone. Just like no one asks me. No one comes up to me and goes like, V, we have these problems that we can't fix. Give us solutions. And I'll be like, okay, here you go. Poof. Like the only thing I can't fix, however, is figuring out how the mainstream media is going to spin this. Because it's very it's complicated. Like people more intellectual than we like to say. I don't know what this boogaloo movement is, but I've been told by the mainstream media that it's filled with bad people. Okay? So really bad people. There were news articles about Hawaiian shirts, so really, really awful people. Okay. But then I understand that Black Lives Matter are really good people. Really decent folk. Okay? That's what the mainstream media told me. And today, I understand that the bad people and the good people were marching together. How do you spin this? Like, this should be for an exam at Journalist University. It's like, you got this news... How do you put a spin on it? It's going to be very difficult, I'll give you that. Like, I would not want to be the person working at The Guardian having to report on this particular event. Anyway, let's talk about TikTok now. Apparently this was trending on TikTok and the Daily Mail decided to use a very uncharitable picture of this lady. So, apparently a Muslim woman says the food she received in Melmore Tower isn't halal. UK, what is wrong with you? Start feeding the people. You need to feed the people. Look how obsessed she is. Just look at her. Alright? Like, this is from the Daily Mail. So she does not enjoy the food offerings. I mean, she makes Ilhan Omar look petty. Because Ilhan Omar isn't placed under these horrible conditions like in the UK where she doesn't get to eat halal meat. I mean, she talks about how America oppressed her and, you know, the systemic systems of racismus as she was a refugee from Somalia and America took her in and she pulled herself. Listen to this expression. It's a beautiful expression. She pulled herself by her own bootstraps and she managed to become a congresswoman. But that is a broken system. That is a messed up system that needs to be dismantled. Alright? So when she has this speech, it makes me chuckle because I'm thinking it's like, yeah, but if America's system is bad, how do you compare the system in the United Kingdom when another Muslim woman is suffering up a tower because she can't get proper access to food? So at the risk of being an asshole, I'm going to have to side with the starving British lady and say that she is far more oppressed by the conservative British system, which gives her the same food like everyone else without taking into consideration her supernatural beliefs and not giving her the correct type of food with the whole religious ceremony and the proper etiquette and so on and so forth. So you can't treat everyone the same. You need to take into account different people that have different special needs. Okay? Now, speaking of the United Kingdom, let's listen to what the British people consider state-sponsored comedy. So this is from the BBC, which takes money from the citizens of the United Kingdom through, I guess, a license. And let's see the type of comedy that they produce.
Oh, and maybe give yourself a nickname like Gary Fawkes or Barry Liberty so that you sound like a dashing freedom fighter, even though you're a lonely old specky guy whose ankles swell in winter.
Wow, OK, you can't say lonely old specky guy. You just can't say...
I'm being a champion of free speech. Oh, which, by the way, kids, in case you're wondering, free speech is now basically a way adult people can say racist stuff without any consequences.
Oh, that was so funny. Oh, I love British comedians. Oh my god, my sides are in orbit. Do you want to know what else is funny? Oh, Donald Trump wants to ban the idea of burning the American flag. I mean, who needs free speech, right? And you don't believe in it. It's a joke. So let's have this legislation. Why do you need to burn the American flag? Huh? Why do you need... Make the argument. Come on, make the argument. You know what else Donald Trump wants to do? Defund universities. Of course. Why shouldn't he? Who cares about free speech? It's an evil thing, isn't it? I mean, back in the day when the United Nations decided to sign the Charter of Human Rights and they talked about free speech, we now know that the reason they wrote it there is for people to be racist without consequences. So let's get rid of it. Oh, look, Donald Trump is going to ban TikTok. Ban it all. Like, why would I stand in the way of such progress? Why would I say, you know what, I believe in free speech. I don't want to be racist. Do you want to be a racist? I don't want... It's horrible, right? So if there's no free speech, get fucked. Now, when you come back and you tell me that you do believe in free speech, and you convince me that it's a good thing, then maybe I will speak against the conservatives when they decide to go on a banning spree. Until then, they're just playing the game you nicely set up. It's like, okay, well, no more free speech. Like, okay, fine. Just have at it. You know, like, you convinced me. What can I say? Your arguments were so persuasive and so good. And just, like, there is nothing I can say and add in order to change it. Do I make the rules? Do I make the rules of this game? No, you know what I do? I play the game. You tell me the rules. When you want free speech, I'll be like, okay, well, now that you believe in it, we can take a stand against people who are immoral and try to ban it. But until then, it seems that you totally pissed on the concept. So there is no more free speech, right? By the way, like regarding TikTok, it's a bold move, especially since it's very popular amongst young people. However, the reason they want to ban TikTok is that the app, according to Apple, is secretly spying on millions of iPhone users. And as you go on Reddit, you will find actual, people who don't have a horse in this race, people who are IT experts, explaining just how bad this spying is. And now, of all people, Ninja, the beacon of light from Twitch, is saying that he's going to delete his TikTok, and he hopes that an app that is made in the Western world with the purpose of actually providing a service rather than spying on people is going to exist in order to replace TikTok. Anyway, since we're at the subject of comedy, listen to this. A female Mountie manages to somehow mysteriously keep her job after groping a fellow officer not once but twice. Like, this woman can't help herself. She's like a living, walking, groping machine. Now, it's really interesting how she manages to survive the castle culture. Like, I assume that if I were to, heaven forbid, honk, another woman at the office, I don't think I will have a job ever again. In fact, I think I might be in prison. But what is this power that she has? Like, what is this power that she possesses? I hope that she gets the lesson of Spider-Man. Like, with great power comes great responsibility, because she seems to be above all other men. Like, with unnatural, ungodly powers, managing to keep her job after doing this. Like, look, she fondled the genitals of one of her fellow constables, groped his tights, and made inappropriate sexual comments to him. And this costed her 20 days of pay and 10 vacation days. It's like, wow. I mean, I want to know how she did it. Like, she needs to spread this secret to other people, doesn't she? Oh my God, like, we need to contact this woman. Like, find out. Like, she can write a book, and that book will sell millions. I think Harvey Weinstein will be the number one purchaser. Like, the moment the book is released, boom, Harvey Weinstein will be the first person that will buy it. Oh God, I'm all over the place today, right? Like, I'm hopping from news. It's a little bit out of order. I'm not in the right state of mind. I'm sorry about it. I really am. You'll see at the end of this video why I'm not in the proper state of mind. But I hope you enjoyed this nevertheless. I did do my best in order to get the craziest news of the week. And even though they're not in a correct order, I want to read you something that's very important. So please, if you have children, bring them over. Bring them over, because we need to educate people. The racist history of soap. Okay? Now, little did you know that soap was a colonial tool. The Europeans would not have been able to colonize other places without the use of soap. So, no, stop laughing. Stop laughing. This is serious shit, okay? Like, this is from a university. From people that are smarter than you. Okay, that's why we need Plato's Republic, so people smarter than you can lead us. Like, look at this. They weaponize soap, Like, you think a gun is dangerous. Wait until you get a load of a bar of soap. And what they did with soap was that they forced racism on other people through the sale and the promotion of commercial products. And the British are responsible for this atrocity. And they maintained white colonial logic using soap. So this whole nonsense is from the popular phrase, cleanliness is next to godliness. And apparently, like, this university professor found out that this didn't exist in the Bible, but it's some Christian priest that used it in a sermon, and from there it started spreading, becoming popular when Christianity was being weaponized to colonize and cleanse African people of their sins. And this cleansing took place with a bar of soap. Oh my God. And you know what else the soap used to have? It used to have lightening chemicals. So it wasn't just a symbol of whiteness, but a means to achieve lightness and the privileges that the bar of soap it provided. My God, like, my brain right now is like listening to Alex Jones, like, it just exploded. Like, I am bombarded with such a bastion of knowledge that I legitimately don't know what to do with it. But again, like, someone from the academia actually had to write this. Like, can you imagine how smart the person who wrote this is? Like, The amount of time they spent on studying. You know, I bet like Vosh one day is going to be in a debate. It's going to be like, I have a study that soap is racist. Look, study, soap, study. Horrible, right? Now, The Guardian. The Karen meme is everywhere and it's sexist. Okay, so do not use the Karen meme because it's sexist. Perfect. The BBC. Karen is just racism by another name. All right, let's listen to this bastion of knowledge that is the BBC.
Don't want to kind of interrogate how their behaving might be racist or what they're doing is problematic. So I think like you have to be ready to think critically about your identity and your privilege, and that's really important.
Yeah, and don't be so loud. Like stop shouting and stop attacking black voices, and instead you should be uplifting them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get out of the way, basically.
Yeah, basically leave.
So basically it's like that song says, boom, bitch, get out the way, bitch, get out the way, like boom, yeah? The question though has to be, is the Guardian racist or is the BBC sexist? There can be only one. And, let's end it on a high note. Let's talk about something beautiful, something wishy-cushy that happened. I think the biggest and the chaddest conservative ever has been born. If this person doesn't manage to become president, then I will riot, okay? So, there was a woman which had an intrauterine device, an IUD. Now, these things have a failure rate of 1%. It means they are 99% effective. And it's supposed to prevent you from getting pregnant, right? Like you stick it in the uterus and it blocks. Okay. Woman gets pregnant and the baby pulls that shit out. Like he actually pulls it out and it's like, no, I will be born. Da-da-dum. And there's a picture with the baby holding the device in his hand. This is the conservative motherfucker. Like, this baby is going to conserve things, you know? I don't need to ask him whether he is pro-life or pro-choice. We know what he is. And apparently the woman is happy that she had him. She didn't decide to terminate the pregnancy. So, all is well and ends well. Now, there's actually one more news. I almost forgot about it. Holy shit, I almost forgot about it, and it's very important. Due to the pandemic, Harvard University decided to allow students to learn remote. So basically, they're not going to benefit or take advantage from all the features of the campus life. They're not going to enjoy the dorms, the fraternities. They're not going to take advantage of the college experience. And they're going to be able to learn from home. Now, you might think it's like, okay, well, it's not the same service that I signed up for. Like, I understand why you're doing it, but since you don't have to spend all the money on the same costs as if people were actually there on the university grounds, aren't you going to lower the fee? Aren't you going to lower the tuition fee now that you don't need all of the facilities to operate? No, of course not. Do you honestly think that universities like Harvard, which constantly talk about socialism and Marxism, do you honestly think that when push comes to shove, they're not going to be savvy capitalist business people? Of course they will. They will not lower those tuition fees at all. In fact, at this point, the annual streaming price for Netflix is $108. The annual streaming price for Hulu, $72. The annual streaming price for YouTube Red, $120. The annual streaming price for Showtime, $132, and Disney comes at $84. Meanwhile, the number one streaming service of the year, Harvard University, at $50,420, where you can sit your fucking ass at home and and watch those goddamn live streams that aren't even in 4K. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that capitalism? Isn't that... Not to mention, they're probably getting tax cuts, aren't they? So, yay. Yeah, I'm starting to believe that eat the rich is a mantra that I should get behind, huh? Harvard University, you're not very left-leaning, are you? But I love these people. Very, very left-leaning on social issues, but very conservative on economic issues. Harvard University, you the man. Show those plebs how a real business, like the Chad business, operates itself in a time of crisis. You milk those students, Harvard. You milk them like the fat little pay-piggins that they are. And at the same time, teach them about the evils of capitalism so that they do not look at you for 1 second. It's like, surely Harvard, that constantly teaches us about more oppression and, like systemic racism, they're not going to partake in such a system, will they? Alright. Finally, the worst thing that happened this week, the worst thing that has ever happened is the fact that I proposed to my girlfriend, and she said yes, so I guess it's game over now. The most stupid thing I ever did in my life. I have got engaged.